I'd like to touch on the political situation as it exists in the Western world at the moment. Looking at the current system of government that we have, it was put to me in these terms many years ago by a very elderly gentleman in Australia. He said, "We live in a two-party dictatorship." And I thought to myself, what is he talking about? And is this true or what? And then he said to me, we live in a two-party dictatorship. What that means is that the party in opposition at the moment, which in Australia is the Liberal Party, they realise full well that when the people of Australia have had an absolute gutsful, when they're sick and tired of the current government that they have there, the Labor government, then the Liberal Party know that by default they are the next government. They realise that there's no other alternative, no other third viable alternative. So that as we go from one term to the next in governments, the oppositions, they know that when their time comes, they are in by default. So effectively, that means that in the way that they currently have it set up, where you have public funding of political parties, and the same applies in the United States and in England as well, in the UK, it means that because the system is set up in such a way that public funding mainly goes to the two major parties, it effectively means that we are unable to be able to see a situation where we have the generation of a third viable alternative, so that you have the two major parties. To give you an idea, the day before the most recent general election in England, which was I think on the 5th of May 2005, the Sun newspaper in an editorial said, and I quote, that it would be outright dangerous for the people of the UK to vote Liberal Democrat. So we have this continued bias, this controlling of the vote with intimidation, with fear tactics by the mainstream media, threatening people that if they were to vote any other way than either Conservative or Labour, that it would be dangerous. It would be dangerous for the UK, it would be dangerous for democracy, which is a total nonsense, of course. So once again, we have now 2010, we have a general election coming up, and you have a situation where the people of the UK are absolutely sick and tired of the current Labor government, absolutely desperate to be able to see a change, and a change for the better. But the problem is that the only alternative that they have is the Conservative Party, and they haven't heard anything coming from the Conservatives which would give them any reason to believe that they are going to be any different or any better. And even worse are the polls, which are of course fixed, and we have recent polls that are coming out which allege that the Conservatives are now losing ground, and that the gains that they had have been eroded away, and there are only so many percentage points in front of the Labor Party. So, you know, by the time we get to the election, it seems certain that we're going to see the mainstream media completely pushing underneath the carpet all of the wrongdoing, all of the mistakes that the Labor government under Blair and Brown have made, so that effectively come polling day, you may as well say that the mainstream media is going to be essentially saying it's a touch and it could go either way, and that people, of course, are just crying out for some change. They're crying out for an alternative to what they've got to vote for at the moment. They just hate the current choice that they have, and it means that no matter what happens, the mainstream media will do its part to ensure that any third viable alternative which may come along in the form of the Liberal Democrats are going to be well and truly denigrated and painted in a way which would say that this could not be considered in all seriousness to be a future government, a viable alternative to the two major parties that we have. So once again, you have this situation where, although we're told we have a democracy, we have, as you can see, really only one of two choices. So we have a two-party dictatorship. Nobody else can become a threat to the two major political parties. And if people don't like either party that they have, if they've had an absolute guts full of what they could expect from the Conservatives during the time that Maggie Thatcher was in power, and now they've had Blair since 1997, and they know what the situation is in the economy, they know what the situation is with their own personal affairs, and the stresses which people have to live through day by day, which has far exceeded people's coping mechanisms, and people are absolutely desperate and, of course, very, very apathetic about politics generally.